In this case, this hit land. This is a very large earthquake, a very strong earthquake in Turkey, and it did sizable damage, and it's killed and injured a lot of people today. So, and they've had many earthquakes since as well. Um, I'm going to see if we can look at this because I have gotten, I don't know how many reports of aftershocks from this earthquake. Okay, as you can see, there's a large number of earthquakes here. Okay, one of the largest ones was a 5.7. The original one was a 6.0, 5.7, and we've had 4.2 aftershock, 4.0, 4.3, 4.4, 4.1, 4.5, 4.2, and a 4.1 aftershock. Okay, this is 7, 8 aftershocks. The strongest one, this 5.7, did probably just as much damage as a 6.0 magnitude earthquake. 5.7 is a very large upper range 5 earthquake. Okay, so that happened in eastern Turkey today. Um, Eastern Turkey, Iran. It shows a border here in Iran, but honestly, it says Turkey. So that's where we're at on this. Plus, to top all that off, the sad state of affairs is that Turkey is also getting hammered militarily by Syria and Russia right now. So not only are they going to have to deal with this earthquake, or are they dealing with this earthquake, they're having to deal with larger foreign powers trying to take their country. So that's what's happening here as well. So these people are going to be in a world of hurt. Um, Notice if it's near the border of Iran, so Iran's probably going to um, face some issues from this earthquake as well. So that's what happened in Turkey today. And I reduced that. Going over here to Western Turkey, we had a 4.4 magnitude earthquake near Akhisar, Akhisar, Turkey, earlier today as well. Over here in Iran, within the last 30, 40 minutes, um, 17 kilometers west southwest of Ravar, Iran, was hit by a 4.6 moderate earthquake there. Going up here northeast of there, 4.2 magnitude earthquake hit 40 kilometers south southwest of Jarm, Afghanistan. Okay, now that's Middle East. That's Middle East, and like I said many times in various other programs, these are not the only earthquakes that have hit. Again, USGS does not um, tell us about everything. And as several people in a couple different groups that I monitor have said, that they're actually hiding earthquakes, and they're not the only ones. They're not the only ones. This 4.6 that hit um, up in north central Iran hit um, at 5:44 p.m. So it was not even 30 minutes ago when that earthquake hit. Uh, Let me look at this. I'm monitoring quite a few things here, folks. So you'll have to excuse me for just a second here. I'm checking on a lot of stuff here. We've already had 397 earthquakes today. 397, almost 400 earthquakes. Before the end of this program, we will have had 400 earthquakes that have hit the world today, hit our Earth today. The 6.0 magnitude earthquake hit Turkey at 6 a.m. Mountain Standard Time this morning. 22 earthquakes have hit the Earth in the last 2 hours. Actually, within the last hour, 22 earthquakes have hit the Earth in the last hour. Interesting. Interesting. Let me check one other thing here. We've now had 13,186. It just changed. 13,208 earthquakes so far since midnight, December 31st, 2019. So since the beginning of the year, we've already had 13,208 earthquakes. That is a sizable number of earthquakes, and it's continuing. It's continuing. There was a point where we just barely have maybe a little over 300, 297, 270 earthquakes in a given day. Now we're going to be going over 400 earthquakes today alone. So it's not pretty, folks. It's not pretty at all. USGS is not showing any earthquakes at all down here in the South Pacific. I know that's not true. I am pulling up the EMSC map here, and I'm going to show you quite a few earthquakes that have hit. I know for a fact I've been notified today about earthquakes in the South Pacific. Yes, we've had quite a few earthquakes. Okay. Let me show you some information here. This camera angle just a little bit. Okay. This is New Zealand. Right there is New Zealand. As you can see, we've had quite a few earthquakes there. Not as many as we've had in the past. North of the Kermadec, we had a 4.0 magnitude earthquake today. North of the Kermadec. Going south, a 2.61 and a 2.65 north of the Bay of Plenty. North of the Bay of Plenty. Over on land, a 2.23 and a 2.31 over on the northeast coast of the Big Island, the large northern island there of New Zealand. And then these others are a bit off the coast of the North Island of New Zealand. We have a 2 point going from south or north to south, a 2.75, a 3.32, a 2.75 and a 3.32 right there. It's on the west. Going further south, off the coast, is a 2.41, a 2.45, and a 2.69. That's on the North Island, just off the North Island there. Going down to the South Island, up on the north side of it, had a 2.5. Going over to the west, southwest area, a 2.37. And near the southern tip of New Zealand, Southland, New Zealand, we had a 2.55 magnitude earthquake there. Now, while these are all twos there, We had that one 4 up in the Kermadec, but we have no earthquakes to report in Fiji, Tonga, Samoa, over in Vanuatu, the Solomon Islands, Santa Cruz Islands, nothing there. The only earthquakes that we have are over in Papua, Indonesia. Here's a 4.5 Papua, Indonesia, and this is out to sea. This wasn't even on land. This is Papua, Indonesia right there. Papua New Guinea's over here. This is Papua, Indonesia. 4.5 off the northern coast up there. And then going further west, we have a 4.8. A 4.8 there. Going west. Going west. This is central Indonesia. And they've had a lot of earthquakes there. A lot of earthquakes. Swarm of earthquakes. A 2.5 in southern central Indonesia. A 4.8. The Flores Sea, we had a 4.4. Over here in Riwo, R-I-W-O, we had a 4.0. So over in Papua, Indonesia, we had a 4 there. And over here in south central part of Indonesia, we have a bunch of 4s. Going over to central Java, we've got 4 earthquakes there, a 2.9, a 3.0, 3.1, and a 3.6 over in Java, central Java. Central Java. Going further north in the central part of the Indonesian area, 2.7s, 3.4 there. Okay, we're going to go north, going over towards the Philippines. The southern Philippines, southern Mindanao Island. We've had a 4.7, a 3.6. Sarangani, Philippines, we had a 3.3. I'm sorry. We've had a 3.3, a 3.8, and also near Governor Generoso, we had a 3.2. On the north side of Mindanao, Philippines, we had a 3.89. 3.89 there. Mindanao, Philippines is here. Down here south of that is where all those other earthquakes hit. Now we have another 3.89 that hit further north from there. Nothing in Taiwan. Southern Japan, near Toshima, Japan, we had a 1.6, just a very minor 1.6. However, the Bonin Islands today, and this has been an active area all this past week. Bonin Islands, we had a 4.6 today, and then we have a large earthquake just north of there where we had a 5.0 near Chichishima, Japan. Chichishima is north of the Bonin Islands and has had many, many earthquakes all week long. Chichishima, Japan, right there. Going up into central Japan. Off the coast, we have a 4.4, 4.7, 3.8 as we near the coast. Okay, we had 2 4s, 3.8 right there. Over on the western side of central Japan, Nagano, Suzaki, I'm sorry, Suzako Shi Nagono Ken. Suzaka Shi Nagano Ken, we had a 2.6. It's over on central western shore of Japan. Then going north, we had another 3.8 on the eastern side of Honshu, 3.8 at Iwate Ken Oki, Iwako Ken Oki, and over on the other side of Honshu, just south of Hokkaido, we had a 3.4. Now we've got a large earthquake right here. Let me show it to you. Okay, this is up in the southern Kuril Islands. We have a 5.2 there. 5.2. And north of there, just south of Kamchatka Peninsula, we have a 4.2 as well there. Now these are just right on that fracture zone that separates Japan and goes up into Kamchatka Peninsula and over into the Sea of Okhotsk. Okay, so we've had a large earthquake in the Kuril Islands, a 4.2, just on the southern tip of Kamchatka, Russia. Okay, now I'm only going to point out swarms of earthquakes because I don't want to monopolize your time here. Your time is valuable, and I value you being here with us. We have a lot of things to discuss, and I don't want to drag it out tonight. Over on that earthquake fault just off the coast of southern Chile, we have two earthquakes, a 3.5 and a 3.4. 3.5, 3.4, and that's near off the coast of ARAUCA or UCO, Chile, going up the coast near San Juan, Argentina, we have a 3.0. 3.2 near Copaipai, Chile. Oh, darn it. Copaipai, Chile. And over in Argentina, at the Chilean-Argentine border, we have two earthquakes, a 3.5 and another 3.5 near Salta, Argentina. Two 3.5s near Salta. Excuse me. Northern Chile, we have a 3.9 just above the earthquake fault there. And further north, Tarapaca, Chile, we have a 3.2. So we've had a series of earthquakes south, central, and up in the north. Up in the north. Off the coast of Ecuador, right? Actually, it's on the coast, right on the coast. We had a 1.9 in southern Ecuador. Going over to Central America. Larry is in Central America. We have a 4.0 Provincia de Guanacaste. Provincia de Guanacaste, Costa Rica. We have a 4.0 northern Costa Rica. We have a 3.7 off the coast of El Salvador. It's off the coast of El Salvador and Nicaragua, 3.8 La Libertad, and Costa de Uzubecan, we have a 3.7. Okay. Then we have a large swarm of earthquakes starting down in central Mexico, going up the coast over towards Puerto Vallarta here. Puerto Vallarta. Okay. So it's been swarming over there, folks. Puerto Vallarta, a 3.62 and a 3.20. And these are threes and fours that are down here in southern Mexico. Threes and fours in southern Mexico. It's swarming like all get out. Now, things have somewhat slowed down here in Southern California. You see 50 plus earthquakes. Yesterday and the day before, we were up over 100 earthquakes in Southern California. Now it has slowed down. Okay, it has slowed down. And today you don't see any earthquakes being reported here in Oregon and Washington. Really? It's true. They're not reporting anything, or very little of anything. We have a few earthquakes over here in Alaska. One on the southern tip of the peninsula. We have a 2.6 near False Pass, 2.6, False Pass, Alaska. I'm going up here because I want to show you this. And yes, I'm coming down with the cold that my granddaughter passed along to all of us. Anyway, we have a pretty good sized swarm all the way up through the peninsula of Alaska towards Anchorage. So let's talk about that. First off, I want to go to Mount Redoubt. That's where we've been having a large share of earthquakes. But there's nothing at Mount Redoubt. They're all south and they're all north of Mount Redoubt. So we don't have any at Mount Redoubt. I thought I saw one earlier that was a 2.8 at Mount Redoubt, but it's off the map now. Okay, let's go over to Anchorage. Let's go over here to right in the harbor area, up here in the northern tip of the Cook Strait. Anchorage, Alaska, 11 miles east of Anchorage, a 1.6, a 2.8 just north and west of there. Wasilla, Alaska, 2.8. And going north, there's a bunch of earthquakes going straight northwest from Anchorage up to Denali National Park. You can see Anchorage is right in here, and then it makes a beeline all the way to Mount McKinley and Denali National Park. Let's take a quick look. 1.5 Willow, 1.9 southeast of Denali. Then we get into Denali National Park, just southeast of Mount McKinley. We have a 1.7. And right on the southern flanks of Mount McKinley, we have a 1.4. So all those earthquakes here, all these earthquakes are ones. Okay? What happens up here on the north end? The north end. We had 1.3s, 1.7s, 1.2, 1.6, and a 1.2 again. So we have nothing but ones southeast and over on the northeastern end of Denali National Park. Going north, Nenana, Alaska, 1.3. Badger, 0.4. Hot Springs, Alaska, Manly Hot Springs, Alaska, a 1.4. Now, you're probably wondering, why is Ron showing us these earthquakes? Because there's nothing at or even near the Arctic Circle. The only other earthquakes even nearer are Kobuk, Alaska, had two earthquakes, a 1.5 and a 1.0 at Kobuk, over on the northeastern side of Alaska. These are aftershocks from last year's 6.3 that hit here. Okay, and as you can see, nothing past Manly Hot Springs. Up here is the Arctic Circle. There's nothing here. There's nothing over in here in Kattewick, and nothing over here in Prudhoe Bay on the North Shore. Nothing. Kind of interesting, huh? We have this huge swarm going from the peninsula of Alaska on up to central Alaska, and then it stops. Nothing there. Nothing at all. Let's go to Washington and Oregon. I spent some time today pulling up information on Washington and Oregon, and you might wonder why. Why did Ron go to all the trouble to pull information about Washington and Oregon when there was no report of earthquakes today? Because there was seismic energy there. There was seismic energy. And we're going to show you that. All right. All right, let's start here at Mount Baker. Quite a few people were concerned about Mount Baker. They said the main mountains were getting struck over and over and over again. And they're right. They were absolutely right. The volcanoes that everybody has been worried about have been struck, and we're going to show you those. This is Mount Baker. This is since 4 o'clock before we came on the air. We came on at 6:04, right in here. We came on board about 6:04, right in here. Okay, look at 4 o'clock. Let's go back. Let's go back and look at last night and this morning and this afternoon. Heavy magma inflow. Heavy magma inflow coming into Mount Baker. You can see it. And also, if you look very closely up in here, you're going to see steam bursts. There's a steam burst here. There's steam bursts all throughout here, and down here on the in the afternoon area. This is 11 o'clock this morning over here, right in here. But you can see these steam bursts. There's one there. There's probably a dozen buried in here. There's another one I'm looking at. There's another one there. All these areas are steam bursts. There's another one there. But if you go look Mount Baker, you're going to see steam bursts. Okay. Now I want to show you something. That was last night into today. The day before that, you can see what happened. This is the 21st, February 21st, going into the 22nd. Heavy magma infill. And you can see the steam bursts. You can see the steam bursts here. One there too, another here, and steam bursts all over here. Okay. So you see Mount Baker has been infilling and has steam bursts on and on and on. Going over to Mount Rainier, and I'm going to show you two sites from Mount Rainier point of view. This is Voigt Creek. Okay, this is since we've been on the air. Starting at 4 o'clock today, we came on at 6. And it's just 6:36 right now. You can see the magma infill here into Mount Rainier. Let's go just to the previous last night into today. This is last night. You can still see magma infill going on here. The heavy dark lines here. Then it goes crazy. Mount Rainier, Voigt Creek. This is Mount Rainier, Emerald Ridge. RER for short is the code. Again, you can see the magma infill is still heavy since 4 o'clock today until now. Magma infill is heavy here on at Mount Rainier. All right. Let's go to the next one here. This is Mount St. Helens, EDM for short. You're going to have to excuse me. I'm drinking water because my throat is very dry. And then if it gets too dry, I start coughing. I don't want to do that. This is since 4 o'clock until present. It doesn't even have 6 o'clock here because we're at 6:30. I thought it might have that by now. Let's go to the previous night and earlier today at Mount St. Helens. Okay, it was light yesterday morning and the night before that even. Okay, then it gets progressive. It gets progressively harder. You see, or more magma infill going on. Okay, there's a small quake right there. There's venting going on here. You see venting all over. Okay, Mount Rainier is venting. It's breathing. Steam bursts all over. Let's go back another day. There's a small event. Magma here. Heavy magma. Small event there. You see magma all over this whole area. Magma infill going on. So it's been going on for quite some time. Let's go to the next seismo. This is Mount Hood, Osberger Mountain, Mount Hood. Okay, you see the pretty heavy lines here. That's significant, showing magma infill here. It's not as bad as Mount Rainier, Mount St. Helens, and Mount Baker. And I could show you other seismos as well, but I wanted to point out the major mountains because that's what was mentioned to me earlier. The major mountains were really going off, and the lady was right. The lady was absolutely right. And you can see Mount Hood. Okay. Let me back up to present. Okay. This is since 4 o'clock to about 7:45 today. You can still see the magma infill going on. That's Mount Hood. Okay. I am going here because I wanted to show you this is GSN Heliplat. Okay. I'm going to scroll down through here. Don't worry about this. This is the machine messing up here. This is a seismogram from the Grand Turks. This is nothing but all over machine screw up. Okay. Jamaica today, over in China, they've had an earthquake, and USGS is not even showing up, but this is a seismo from Beijing. Honduras, okay, this is showing the Costa Rican earthquakes in Honduras, from the Honduras. Okay, China. The Aleutian Islands, they're showing earthquakes that the other agencies really are not showing. This one's probably a 3.4, 3.5 here. Samoa, Albuquerque, New Mexico. We have an earthquake over in Mentone, Texas, and I believe that's what this is. And it's a lot stronger than they're telling us. All right. Let's see. We have some some activity near Cathedral Cove, Missouri. You can see what's going on there. This is that earthquake in China that's Thailand's picking up. Let's see. Here we are, Corvallis, Oregon. Corvallis, Oregon. Okay. They've had some disturbances today. We've had a few events, but you can see the magma infill going on here as well. Okay, Corvallis, Oregon. There's another one here. Trying to find here. Mariana Islands. I believe these earthquakes that you see here are from over in Chichishima, Japan, that area. Hockley, Texas. Mentone, Texas had an earthquake. We're going to show you on the map in just a minute. This is probably Mentone, Texas being recorded here. All right. Russia. They're not reporting any earthquakes, but here on the seismic, you can, this is Korea, I'm sorry. We don't have anything on Korea except for right here. For a second, I was thinking that was Russia, but it's not. They're showing earthquake activity there, and nobody else is reporting it because they're not reporting it. This is that large earthquake, 6.0 over in Turkey. At Kabul, Afghanistan stations recording it. Okay. And I'm not sure exactly why Finland is showing this, because this could also be that same earthquake we're talking about here in Afghanistan. This could be over in Turkey. See, we have this station here in Russia picking it up. And this is just gobbledygook coming out of the Canary Islands. That machine probably needs to be calibrated. It's not giving out good information. Kazakhstan. This is Russia. Earthquake over in Papua New Guinea, Papua Indonesia here. There's one specifically I was looking for. This is I believe this is the same Turkish earthquake being picked up in Greenland. Where is that? Mongolia. I can't find it. There was a reason I brought you guys here to this particular seismic group. Can't find it right now. All right, let's go over here. The reason I brought you to this particular right here. This is from the area around Mount Shasta. Okay. This is the area around Mount Shasta. You can see the magma infill going on here. Okay. The thick lines here. And every once in a while you'll see a blurb or a bloop or whatever. That's heavy duty magma coming in. But there's magma infilling coming into Mount Shasta down in California. Okay. And this last one, guess where this one is from, folks? Mammoth Mountain. Again, you can see magma infill going on all day long, literally all day long. We have a small earthquake right there. And then this ended it at 3 o'clock today for some reason, about 3:15 today. Don't know why, but that's what happened. But you can still see magma infill coming in. Okay, that's why we got you there. All right. Now I'm going to open up our EMA show page here. This is how you do it. Go to FRN Radio, scroll down here to the EMA radio video here, and you click on that. And that's going to open up our EMA Emergency Management Associates show page. For some reason, the computer is taking its time. Here it goes. Okay, I'm going to get rid of some of these pages here because it might be slowing us down here. Okay, this is our show page. Okay, you can see our radio programs here. You can click on any one of the radio programs and you can pull it all up. Okay, you keep scrolling and you have our video here on the right and you have our chat room. BJ, Barbara, it's good to see you. 2x2. You guys are all here. That's awesome. Okay, we will be coming back to this very shortly. We'll be coming back to this very shortly. So I showed you the earthquakes there. I showed you the magma infill going on both in Washington and in Oregon. Excuse me, my nose is just raw right here. Don't know why. Well, I do too. It's this thing, the dryness of our air. The humidity level is 24%. 24% here. It's dry, very, very dry. All right. Why do I want to do here? Just bear with me for a quick second, folks. We're going to show you some more earthquakes in just a second here. I just want to be able to see the chat room. And I don't believe we're seeing the real chat room here. I have to go over to our YouTube channel to pull up the chat room. Okay. I'm sorry you guys are getting a hum. I have no idea where that's coming from. Hopefully by tomorrow we'll have that solved. I hope. Yes, Lisa K. Things do sound ominous, and yes, we need to be praying. I'm over here in the chat room now, folks. All right. Just like I did on YouTube when we were on our YouTube channel, I like to keep a close eye on what's going on in our chat room. Okay. Kathleen Sanchez, it's good to see you too. Bill, welcome here. Welcome here today. Connie's here. Thank you. Tammy Tammy's here. Cool. Cool beans. Susie, Heidi, Puka's here. Cindy Griffin's here. You guys are great. Nadine's here. Lisa's here. Marshall's here. I'm just going through here, see who's all here. Yes, Marshall Rainier has really picked up. It's moving, and it's steaming. Magma, you know, we can look at the seismos all day, but when you see the mountains steaming, you can darn well better believe there's magma right beneath that plug. There's a plug on every volcano. There's a plug on every volcano, and magma is hitting the underside of the plug, and it's fractured the plug. It's been pounding the plug, and now it's steaming through those cracks, those little small fissures in the plug of the volcano. And at some time, all those fissures are going to open up, and then there's going to be a magmatic phreatic explosion. The volcano is going to go. It's a matter of time. You saw how heavy the seismos showed the magma was. Okay? And that's just 3 of the volcanoes. I didn't show you Jefferson. I didn't show you Crater Lake. I didn't show you Glacier Peak. Okay? I promised Larry asked someone to, actually asked Rebecca if she couldn't look up the information on the volcanoes. I've already got it. And I showed you. But I promise you, I will be showing you more seismos tomorrow. I'll be showing you more seismos tomorrow. All of the volcanoes are all going. Okay, there's magma infill going on every one of them. Now I'll probably show you 10 or 12, maybe more tomorrow, and show you what's happening. But you're going to see it in every one of the seismograms. Okay? You're going to see them all over. Don says, if you're prepared, you shall not fear. Prepare to act, not react. And he's absolutely right. You need to prepare right now. Okay? I don't want anybody reacting. I really don't. I want them preparing. That way you're not going to react. React, you're going to go off the side. Meaning you're going to forget things, you're going to forget to do things, you're going to forget what your name is when crap hits the fan. And I don't like that feeling. I don't. I feel bad enough when I've got a cold like I do. It's not fun. It's just not. Speaking of quarantines, Lisa brought it up. If a whole hospital's on quarantine, does that mean anyone who showed up for work that day just can't leave? That might be the case. That might be the case. Look at what's happened in Italy. Most of Italy is quarantined now. Just like China did. Most of Italy is quarantined. And quite frankly, folks, there's enough information that we have now. I'm trying to look up even more information. We have at least 1,000 people, 1,000 cases of the coronavirus here in the United States. We pointed that out from the CDC's own information that they put out. But nobody's reporting things. We know for a fact over in Atlanta that they have quarantine cases over there. We know for a fact that they've got probably at least 100 cases in California, if not more. Okay? Then there's the Texas issue where they said, oh, we don't have anybody. Oh, really? Then why did you take 200 and some people off of a plane and put them in quarantine? Nebraska is not reporting anything, but we know for a fact that at least 15 people are in quarantine in Nebraska. I mean, come on, folks. They can't continue to lie to us forever. That's why you need to be proactive. Don't react, be proactive. Puka, I am taking ascorbic acid. Okay? The only reason I've got a cold right now, Puka, is because my granddaughter came here sick. Her mother works for a daycare center, and everybody over there, including the kids, is sick. And then she brings it home to our granddaughter, where they share a room. It's no wonder the granddaughter gets sick. And then grandma and grandpa got to play with and take care of our granddaughter during the day, so we get sick. My wife got sick before I did earlier this week. Puka said that the government's going to make an announcement this Thursday. I'll believe it when I see it. And there's travel restrictions already in place, Puka. There's travel restrictions that might get even tighter now. TLO, I don't think they're ever going to face up to anything. I just don't. I've seen too much stuff happen. They're just not going to fess up to anything. You know, China's not even fessing up on how bad it is over there. 80,000 cases. You know, it's insane. It's all politics, too. It's all politics. Yes, the CDC has said that businesses and schools may have to close up. Some schools have already closed up. They did it on their own. In South Korea, look what's happened over there. The coronavirus is going crazy in South Korea. And now that brings up a question. What about our troops that are there? The DOD, I know, has rules and regulations in place about soldiers getting sick or how they are supposed to take care of themselves. What's being done for our wonderful troops over there in South Korea? We know there's like 10,000 of our troops over there. And Lisa, you worked in healthcare for 20 years, and yet not informed. And Lisa, you're not the only one. I don't know how many people I've talked to that I know they're either doctors or nurses all over this country. Oh, we're not going to worry too much about the problem is very low right now. Nobody's worried about it. Not even here in Salt Lake. We have some of the best trauma centers that you can find here in Salt Lake. And nobody here is really worried about it. It blows my mind. It's crazy. It's just insane. Anyway, I don't want to spend a ton of time talking about the coronavirus. There are some other things I want to talk about, and the main one is preparation, called Preparing 101. Okay, Preparing 101. So I'm going to bring up a website, and I'm going to show you that website here. This is called Survival Sullivan. Survival Sullivan. Okay? And I'm going to talk about preparedness. I've been talking all along about um, preparedness. We have we've been talking and talking and talking about preparedness. And when I run into things, and I've got copies of all of this, okay. But some of the things I have, I want to take you directly to the source where I've gotten this, and this is a lot of things are not new anymore. This particular presentation is at least 2 or 3 years old, but it's very good. Why prepare for disasters and emergencies? Here are a few good reasons why. Terrorism has become a global problem, and it's very hard to stop. As you're well aware, these things happen in Western countries, not just third world countries. These things are happening here in the United States and everywhere. Cultures clash every day. There are all sorts of racial conflicts with the rise of Islamic extremism. More and more people abused and are being abused in bus stations, schools, homes, out in the streets, in businesses. Okay? And this has been going on for a long, long time. But now it's come to the forefront because more people are talking. Spousal abuse is horrible. Child abuse is horrible. Our population is growing by over 200,000 people a day. You read that, you can read that right here, you can read it all over. Check out the world population clock and you're going to be amazed. These newborns are in third world countries, so how will they survive? Many of them don't, given that their parents are barely able to scrape by a living, scrape by on any amount of money that they may have. And how many of them are able to migrate to a different place in search for a better life? The mega drought is expanding, it's just not in California anymore. We talked about what happened after the floods this year. The central part of the United States eventually made it out of flood stage and into drought stage. Okay? And what happened because of the floods? We lost tens of thousands of animals. Tens of thousands of animals were killed by the floods. 9 states were flooded over. 9 states were flooded. We lost animals, we lost crops. We saw store shelves bare. And I was in a store last night, yesterday evening. Folks, there were shelves that were bare then last night. And I'm going back and take more pictures this week so I can show you the bare shelves in stores. Okay? U.S. power grid. It's not only vulnerable to an EMP attack, but might collapse on its own because it's really, really old. And there's very little that is being done about it. Plus, increased number of electrical cars, car chargers, gadgets puts an even more strain on our power grid. Gambling, drugs, and other addictions that either you or a loved one could fall victim to. The U.S. debt has reached a record high of $21.2 trillion, and it's a miracle the dollar has not collapsed yet. It could happen at any time, regardless of who is in the White House. The U.S. has a number of powerful enemies: Russia, Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, North Korea, China, that would do anything to take us down. We have an election here coming up literally as I speak. Many of the states are already in the throes of an election, a primary election. General election, I believe, is November 2nd, Tuesday, November 2nd. It's going to get worse. Between the coronavirus and everything else that's happening, things are going to get a lot worse. because of our known enemies. They're already trying to mess with our elections. They're already messing with our country. You guys need to be aware of that. The riots and unrest in recent history showed how easy it is for them to spread around and across the country. Look at Antifa up in Portland and Seattle, for that matter. There are parts of Portland when Antifa is out protesting, the police don't want to even get near them because the police get hurt when they do. Why doesn't the governor call in the National Guard? Because the governor is a communist Democrat and doesn't want anything to happen to these Antifa people. And so they're allowed to just run wild and hurt and kill people. Look what they did to a newsman, a freelance newsman who was trying to record the riot that was going on in downtown Portland. Antifa attacked him. And then the police said, you shouldn't be here. And did almost nothing to help him. And they told me, or they told the other media that they were not going to help. That the police were not going to help. Why not? Okay? 3 categories of disasters and emergencies to prepare for. Small scale critical events and disasters. Okay? Now, I need to say right now, a lot of us worry about hurricanes and the weather and the other strife and stuff going on. But folks, each one of you and your families could be caught up into an event, a catastrophic event that is catastrophic just to you and your family. What happens when either one or both spouses are out of a job? I call that an emergency. They're no longer bringing in money to support the family, to help keep a roof over some of their family's head, to pay for food and pay for utilities and other vital things that are needed to support the family. Car crashes. 37,000 people die in car crashes each year, and over 2 million are injured. Rape. Almost 300,000 sexual assaults in the U.S. each year. Firearm assaults. Although this number is actually decreasing, 2013 saw over 1.1 million reported assaults. Yeah. And I handled quite a few of them when I was in uniform. Unreal. Electric shock, including lightning. 200 people a year end up in the ER and dead because of electric shock. Look what happened to a guy I met a long time ago, Daniel Brinkley. Remember Daniel Brinkley that was interviewed by Art Bell in the day? Hit by lightning twice. Somebody worked for the San Diego Zoo, was an associate of Joan Embry in San Diego. Got hit by lightning, was killed out in his farmland in East San Diego County. Struck by lightning out in the field. Drownings, 3,500 deaths each year, or about 10 a day. Are you prepared for that? Are you prepared to try to stop that, slow it down, prevent it from happening? How about food poisoning? That happens an awful lot in most households every year. 1 in 6 Americans get sick every year, and 3,000 people die every year from food poisoning. Heart attacks, leading cause of death in the U.S. Over 600,000 people each year. What are we doing to prevent heart attacks for each and every one of us and our family members? Okay, rabid dog attacks. 40,000 U.S. citizens are treated for rabies after being bitten. Carbon monoxide poisoning. 500 deaths every year. House fires. Over 1.2 million fires in the U.S. Fainting. Getting struck by lightning, like we said before. Car breakdowns. What happens when your car stops running? It's a personal emergency for people and families, especially people that live on paycheck to paycheck to survive. How are they going to fix their car? Falling off stairs. I've done that. Falling from a tree. Attempted suicide. There's someone on my wife's side of the family that has attempted suicide numerous times, and his parents are doing very little, if anything, about it. Kitchen gardening, homesteading, farming accidents, accidental firearm discharge, seizures, road rage, falling objects, tiles falling from the ceiling, things falling from your house. Okay? You don't think about these kind of emergencies. A lot of people don't. Biking accidents, 726 bikers died in 2012, and I'm sure the global stat is even way higher. Motorcycle accidents, 4,000 people die on US roads each year. I hate motorcycles, and yet at one point in time during my career, I was trained as a bike officer. And then my department backed away from it and put us on bicycles. But people are involved in bicycle accidents every year. I used to hate going to motorcycle accidents. Hate it because every motorcycle I went to was a death, a fatality. That's why I don't ride motorbikes today. I would love to. I love the freedom that motorbikes give us, but I'm not willing to die and leave my family destined with that eventuality. Hiking accidents, a whopping 200,000 people a year are treated from hiking accidents alone. US only, snowboarding, sledding, actual hiking are at the top of the list relating to injuries. And over 300 people die every year in hiking accidents. Boating accidents, over 300 people die a year. Sinking cars. Sinking cars, how does that happen? Because someone goes through a barrier that says, don't cross. And they go around it, get stuck in a river or in a flooded area. They get trapped, and yes, they do die. Bee stings, pickpockets. I don't remember the statistics right now for pickpockets. It's a worldwide situation. It happens every day. Weather related deaths. 2,000 Americans die each year from the weather, and a third of them from cold weather related issues, including hypothermia. We talked about losing your job, losing your home, street fights, choking, suffocation, strangulation. That happens a lot. Hazardous materials accidents, incidents, events. I'm trained on that. I'm OSHA 10 certified. Getting lost in a big city. How many people get lost in a big city every day? Right now, I know of at least one person whose health is in danger that has not been seen by his wife and family for a long time now. Dust storms, hailstorms. I've been caught in hailstorms. One time I was in Littleton, Colorado. All of a sudden, a huge golf ball sized hail started hitting my windshield, shattered my windshield. Accidental injuries, falls, cuts, gun accidents, over 130,000 each year. And that's just here in the US. Police brutality, it happens a lot during riots. They could mistake you for a criminal or a thug. Snake bites, 7 to 8,000 year snake bites. Spider bites, they kill people a lot. 7 people a year die of snake bites. Tick bites, some carry Lyme disease. Tsunami like waves on the Great Lakes. Only 10 big ones have occurred in the last 100 years. But the last one in 1998 caused some parts of Michigan to be declared federal disaster areas. Okay? How about medium sized disasters? What they consider a category 3 disaster. Medium scale, terrorist attacks, active shooters. Okay? I could go on and on. I could quote statistics. Some of them are right here. Flash floods, over 100 people die each year. Earthquakes, over 1,300 of them occur each year that have a magnitude of at least 5.2. Look at what's happened during this last year. That number has skyrocketed. We have more than that just right now. Volcanic eruptions. There are 169 active volcanoes in the U.S. What is going on? We've talked about quite a few volcanoes right in the Oregon, Washington area. And during past programs, I've talked about volcanoes in probably half of the United States. Tsunamis. Devastating tsunamis are rare, particularly in the Atlantic Ocean, but they do occur in the Pacific. And we're preparing for a tsunami on the west coast of the United States. Wildfires, 63,000 total fires in the U.S. in 2014, which burned 3.6 million acres. Look what happened even last year. California. Wildfires, over 60,000 total fires in the U.S. in 2014, burned 3.6 million acres. Straight line winds. Straight line winds. We've all seen them. We've all seen them. Tons and tons of damages. Let's see. Home invasions. 1 in 5 homes will experience a home invasion at some point. There's a burglary every 10 seconds and a property crime every 3 seconds. Avalanches. We had an avalanche right here in Salt Lake Wednesday. Big Cottonwood Canyon, a very large avalanche. Fortunately, nobody got caught in it. Nobody was killed. Prolonged grid down situations, blackouts. That's going to happen. Happens a lot. Snowstorms, blizzards, heat waves, heat exhaustion, extreme cold, mudslides, landslides, lahars. We talked about that. Radiation leaks, localized martial law. Many of us have been talking about martial law recently. Okay, let's talk about large scale events. Nuclear attacks, viruses, tsunamis, mass extinction of honeybees, hurricanes, pandemics, mega drought, economic collapse, shrinkage of the middle class, and the bank failures. There have been a lot of bank failures as of this last week, even. Food crisis, natural or man made EMPs, Yellowstone caldera erupting. Now, I don't think Yellowstone caldera is going to erupt anytime soon. I believe the volcanoes in Washington and Oregon and Northern California will probably erupt before Yellowstone does. But it's a possibility. A dictator. Barack Obama told in a rally of a bunch of Hispanics in Texas a few years back that he wanted to become a dictator and stay in office. La Raza, it was a group of La Raza. He wanted to be a dictator. Global warming, technological disasters could happen anytime, anywhere. Asteroid hitting the Earth. The likelihood of disasters and emergencies. Between 2005 and 2015, there have been 699 major disasters declared here in the U.S., 70 disasters a year. The 4 layers of bulletproof preparedness. This is where I think everyone needs to stop and take notes. Stop and take notes. Why? Folks, I think you know why. My approach to preparedness is simple. After you first prepare and you're prepare for your own unique situations, each one of us and each family member and family throughout the United States or anywhere across the world, each family has their own uniqueness. So you need to prepare for your own unique emergencies. Okay, after you first figure out your unique situation, apply this preparedness approach for the first 3 days, then 3 weeks, then 3 months, and over a year. Start with level one and don't move on to the next level until you've completed the first. Now, there are two basic scenarios for you and your family when a catastrophe hits. Sorry about that. You either shelter in, like we talked about last night, and I'm repeating it now. Shelter in, meaning you stay inside your home until it's over, or you bug out and you take off to someplace else that you prepared to go to. Okay? Now, I'm going to share with you a customized, layered survival plan. I keep telling you folks about emergency plans. Sure, you could go hardcore and you could go right from starting to prepare for a long term disaster from day one going forward. But as I've said, this is a learning curve and you have to minimize your mistakes. You don't go running pell mell into a disaster. You don't go running pell mell into preparing either. Look at other people and their mistakes and don't repeat the mistakes or try not to. It's much better to prepare for the layers that we're about to give you so you don't feel overwhelmed with all this information. And we've had numerous people over the last year that have told me that they feel overwhelmed. Okay? Prepare for the first 72 hours. Prepare for the first 72 hours. Your 72-hour emergency plan for absolute beginners. The first thing you need to worry about is having the basics down pat in your brain and work with the basics first to survive at least 72 hours. FEMA used to say and tell everybody to be prepared with a 72-hour kit. And I think I've told this story at least twice, maybe more, throughout the last year that I've been on the air. That emergency managers from throughout the nation, and this I believe was back in 2014, emergency managers from throughout the United States were asked one simple question in a survey. Just one question. How many emergency managers had a 72-hour kit? Now, FEMA had been telling everyone, including emergency managers, to tell their residents and cities, their towns and cities where they lived, where they worked, to have a 72-hour kit. Well, as it turns out, only 25% of all emergency managers had a 72-hour kit. And yet these same emergency managers were tasked by FEMA to teach everyone else to get and prepare a 72-hour kit. If there's only 25% of emergency managers throughout the United States that have a 72-hour kit, how does FEMA expect anyone throughout the United States to follow somebody that's not doing what they were asked to do? folks, I've showed you my 72-hour kit, and I didn't go over personal items, how much money I carry, or anything else. I'm not going to do that. However, I told you how much money you should carry in small bills and change. Nothing over a 20, and preferably no 20s. There's stores during even normal times that can't get into their safes because the power is out or their safe is timed out because they've had numerous customers that have handed them $20 bills to break. So they can't get any more change. If they can't get the money out, how are you going to expect to be able to get the money that they owe you if you try to purchase some product? Carry small bills. Okay? First off, the first thing you need to have is a bug out bag, a 72-hour kit. Okay? You need to have a first aid kit built into that bug out bag. A bug out location, a place to evacuate should you have to leave your home if something happens. And I'm not going to say if, it's when something happens, because that's exactly what we're doing. We're preparing for an eventuality that will happen. A bug out vehicle. What are you going to do if you don't have a vehicle? You need something to get you where you want to go. A few basic survival skills and a few specialized things for urban scenarios if you live in a city. General personal preparation. General physical personal preparation, meaning you need to do a little bit here and a little bit there, be a little bit stronger, faster, more flexible, and have more stamina. Nothing too fancy, but have more stamina that will be able to get you where you want to go and stay in shape. Yeah, you're going to have to carry a 72-hour kit on your back, a bug out bag, or you might have to carry a family member on their back because they can't walk. What are you going to do then? Make sure you're physically prepared. Have at least a couple ways to start a fire. Think Bic lighters, a strike plate that'll start a fire with a 5,000 degree spark. Yeah, a strike plate. Like a match, but even stronger. Flint and steel strike plate. Okay, you need to think of how to start fires because you're going to have to, one, stay warm, and two, you're going to have to cook and heat up food. Magnesium fire starter, steel wool, 9-volt battery, waterproof matches. Okay, at least one way to filter water, such as a life straw. I highly recommend you get a life straw. At least a couple ways to light your way. A hand crank flashlight, battery operated flashlight. Use candles only if you can't do anything else. Why? Because you drop hot wax on yourself, you're going to have a burn. If you drop hot wax on a dried out weed in your front yard or in a field or where you're trying to get to, it's going to start a fire and you're going to be in real trouble. Either the fire's going to burn you or the police are going to burn you once they catch you for starting that fire because you were carrying a candle. Multi-purpose survival items such as duct tape, paracord, 550 paracord. I've got about 1,500 feet of paracord. Baking soda, bleach, vinegar. One emergency thermal blanket per person. Think about one-way and two-way emergency communications. You need to be the first to know about when things go bad, and you need ways to contact your family, the police, first responders of any kind to get you some help. An ambulance. At the very least, you should have an AM FM emergency radio with a weather radio attached to it and extra batteries. In the very least, you need at least one home defense gun, a NUG, and several alternative weapons, and the ammunition that you're going to need. If the law doesn't allow it, you may be interested in making or buying airsoft NUGs, guns, airsoft guns, if the law allows it. And make sure that you just don't own a gun, but you go to the shooting range and practice. Practice makes perfect. If you don't know how to use a gun and you're trying to fire it for the first time when somebody is there in front of you ready to take your life, two things are going to either happen. You're going to hurt yourself, or the bad guy is going to take your gun away from you. Bottom line, two things are going to happen to you if you haven't practiced. By practicing, get somebody that knows how to handle weapons. Like me. I've taught it for years. Don't let somebody else take your gun away from you. Don't let it happen. I won't give them that opportunity. A 3-day water stockpile, at least 1 gallon a day per person, per day. In some places, even I try to recommend at least 3 gallons per person per day. At least. A 72-hour stockpile of food. Consider at least 24 to 2,500 calories per day per person. And don't forget your pets. Please don't forget your pets. Designate a safe room, designate a safe room to hide in as a last resort. As a last resort. If you have the ability to create a safe room in your home, do so. And I have things that I can tell you about safe rooms. Safe rooms, folks. Fortify your home against burglars and home invaders. Set up an early warning system on your property. Security cameras, alarm system stickers. Get a big dog. And have and plan for a few surprises. Okay, plan for a few surprises. Not surprising you, but surprising somebody else. And it doesn't have to be good. If you want to surprise a burglar or somebody that's going to attack you, make sure you have the worst possible surprise for them. Know your bug out routes. Mark them on printed and laminated maps. If you have a printed map and don't have a laminator or no way to do it, put them in those large gallon-size Ziploc bags. That's what I recommend. Focus on the ones that are less likely to get crowded. In other words, bug out locations. Less likely to be crowded when everyone's trying to get out of the city, get out of their state, get out of their town. Forest roads, train tracks. Get a good fixed blade survival knife, or at the very least, a good folding knife. Okay. I carry one. Okay. Flip it on the corner here, and it opens. Okay. Get a good multi-tool. I have a few of those. Have an operations security plan, an OPSEC, and a COMSEC, a communications emergency plan. Okay? Plan your resources. Okay? How about deploying your preparedness items for you to use? And don't tell everybody what you're doing. Please don't. Keep that between you and your immediate family and or very close friends. Remember the word of threes. You can live 3 minutes without air, 3 hours without shelter, 3 days without food, and 3 weeks, 3 days without water, and 3 weeks without food. Okay? All right. I will talk about layer 2 preparedness another day. Okay? I have got 20 minutes left of this program. And there are other things that I desire to do, and that is talk to you folks. I would rather talk to you guys than anything. Okay? Now, I've talked and talked and talked about preparedness, and I talked about it tonight. I hopefully gave you guys some good ideas. I hope. I've spoken about preparedness before, and I'll do it again. This won't be the last. Folks, we're coming on some very hellish times. Very bad. Make sure that you know what you're doing. If you have questions, ask me. Ask me. Or ask somebody else that would know. And we will help you to the extent that we can. Okay? Puka makes a point. ATMs and anything else we touch are also touched hundreds of times throughout the day by somebody else that might be sick, might have a virus. We talked about gloves the other day. I'm sorry. Talked about gloves the other day. Okay? Rubber gloves. It's a good idea. I showed you my masks. I've showed you goggles. I showed you a lot of things. Please use those ideas. Thank you, Scooter Pie. I hope it was good information for everybody. Okay? Tammy, yes, poof, just like burnt, just like burnt popcorn. Absolutely right. Make sure you have a whistle in your bob. Sharon, thank you. Make sure you have a whistle in your bob. I have several in each of the survival kits that we have. Everybody should have a whistle. Now, the Chinese government has confiscated money and treating it, testing it for the virus. Okay? I don't trust China, so why would I trust my own government when my own government lies to us repeatedly, day in and day out? Yeah, they lie and they lie and they lie. That's what politicians are doing. That's what they're good for. What do you think it means to be a politician? Poly, meaning many. Poly, meaning many. Ticks, a blood-sucking insect. That's what these politicians are. Many blood-sucking insects, ticks. Okay. Yes, word has that they're trying to move to a cashless society. They've been trying that for years. That's why now on the credit cards you have to have that little computerized uh, card on your credit card, or you can't use it. No ATM or point of sale area will let you use your credit card unless you have one of those devices on your credit card. That's the way it is. No negotiator, you're absolutely right. I don't like politicians. There's only one politician that I used to work for. That I used to work for. He was the only one that was honest among all of them. Politicians can't be trusted. There's only a handful of politicians that I trust now. Yes, chips. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Computerized chip on your credit card. You don't have one, you can't buy anything. That's just the way it is. Unreal. Unreal. Yeah, the only person I trust is God. You're right, Cindy. Absolutely right. For those of you that want to call the show, I've got about 15 more minutes left in the show. Our telephone number, 1-669-900-6833. That's 1-669-900-6833. Our meeting number, the ID meeting number, is 854-061-005. Repeating, 654-061-005. That's a way to get into our show. For those of you that would try to or like to try to get into our show for the next 15 minutes. Friends, family, loved ones that are here with us, and I've got them all. I've got family members all over the country that watch this show. I've got family members such as yourselves who I care and love more than anything in the world. Please make note of everything that we've talked about. Okay? Make note of everything that we've talked about. Things are going to get worse. Okay? If you have information that you'd like to share that we haven't talked about, please call in. Okay? Yeah, Gene, you're right. Retired people, no Social Security check, no card without a chip, trouble. That's trouble. Please pay attention to everything we've talked about tonight. I know for a fact that tougher times are going to happen. We think things are bad now. Give it another day or two, or give it another week or so. Things are going to get so much worse. Martial law is coming. There's some that believe we're already in medical martial law now, and we pretty much are. The TLO's right. The economy is going to get hit very soon. It's a matter of time. Okay? I'm glad everybody's paying attention. I really am. It's all right to talk and have a good time, but everything that we've talked about is urgent. Everything that we've talked about tonight is urgent. Yes, Cindy, you're right. No work, no school, no nothing. Jean says she's not going to take a chip. I'm not. I've got a chip in my card. I was forced into that, but you're not going to put a chip in my hand, my wrist, my forehead. Ain't going to happen. And I'll take somebody out before they try it. Not going to happen. And yes, Puka, we may have to start living outdoors. That's the bottom line. I've been planning on living outdoors since I was 12. Okay. Oh, little Kim, the small little dictator of North Korea, had been in the hospital, huh? Fascinating. I hadn't heard that yet. God will provide if you're willing to do what it takes and let God know where you're at. You need to show God that you're serious, and then He'll help you. Good, the Iranian guard commander. Interesting. Oh, crazy. Sharon, your son's going to Hawaii. Have him be careful. I know the kinds of people that go to and live in Hawaii and travel through Hawaii. Hawaii is a hub to the world. There was a point in time I would have loved to have gone to Hawaii now. Not anymore. Not anymore. I'll stay out of Hawaii. Thank you very much. Besides, they're having their issues with their volcanoes. And it's going to get worse there too. And I'll talk more about that tomorrow. Money's going to get very tight, everyone. Money is going to get very, very tight. Yes, Celeste Solon videos might be a good idea for a lot of people. I've watched these videos myself. We have a lot of things happening. We've got a pole shift going on. We've got asteroids flying by our planet, and at some point we're going to get hit. That's the bottom line. It's going to happen at some point. We just don't know when. The asteroids we had fly by us last week, we didn't even know about it until just days before they were seen. At some point we're going to get hit. Robin, I would stay away from Japan right now. I would tell your son, don't go. Honestly, everything that I'm reading about Japan, there's no reason I would go there. And I have a friend that works there in the school system, a very dear friend. I consider him family too. We've been friends since, he was 10, I was 12. Brother Joe, as I call him, teaches school there in Japan. I believe his wife does too. Yes, I wouldn't want to be anywhere near Fukushima. I wouldn't want to be anywhere near Japan right now, period, for a lot of reasons, including the virus and the radiation. Because you can't tell me that radiation just stays around Fukushima itself. I don't believe that. I believe they're radiated all over. Radiation spreads. And all you have to do is have a south breeze, a north breeze, an east to west breeze, and you're going to catch that radiation. No thanks. And yes, I read a thing this morning. Let me see if I can bring it up. It was a memo from Walmart where somebody had talked to Walmart about not selling goods made in China because people were scared of goods made in China. I'm looking here. Oh, who sent me that today? Here it is. Let me read you this article about Walmart. I wrote Walmart a letter about virus and their products. This is the answer that they sent back. My name is Avery, and I'm a senior agent with Customer Resolutions, and I will be assisting you further. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. I will be happy to assist you with your question. From my understanding, the products are safe. However, we are taking precautions. Unfortunately, there is no way for us to track down where every item is coming from and test it for the virus. But I've been given the okay from my management that all products are safe for purchase. I will suggest if you feel that there is a chance of catching the virus from ordering products from Japan or purchasing products from China or purchasing products that are made in China. So I will urge you that you don't purchase those items from China until everything has been cleared for your peace of mind. We have not had any reports of any of our customers linking purchases with the virus, as you should be fine. Please respond to the email if there's anything more I can assist you with. We'd love to hear your feedback. If you have questions, please take some time to fill out a survey. The 5-star rating directly affects me, while you can also leave additional comments and concerns regarding your experience. Sincerely, Avery from Walmart. Walmart Customer Care. Okay? Walmart Customer Care. When they talk about tracking items from China and testing items for the coronavirus, they can't even test people and be accurate. Why do I say that? Why do I say that? Because even people that are testing negative for the coronavirus are getting the coronavirus disease. Yeah, they are. So if they're wrong about the people that are getting the virus, and supposedly their tests are accurate, which they're not, how can they possibly test products coming from China to guarantee that they're not infected with the virus? I'd like to have that question answered too. Anyway, folks, it's all but 8 o'clock right now. We're going to end it here. I hope you've had a good time here. I hope this has been very beneficial to each and every one of you. I heard about an hour ago when I did an audio check that we're still having problems. There is a high pitched um, noise of some kind, and we're going to try to eliminate it tomorrow. Tomorrow during the day, I'm going to run out and try to get something to help me try to stop that. Please, I know there are places you can buy masks. Get the masks. Okay? Do what you can to protect yourself. Okay? And thanks, Leah. I appreciate that. I hope to feel better soon. I'm taking care of myself, doing what I can to make me and my family better. I hope you've had a great night here. Thank you for being part of our program and being part of our service here, helping each other. You guys are awesome. I love each and every one of you. I ask the Lord to bless you, to put a blessing on each of your heads and your family. Thank you for being here. As Walter Cronkite would say, and that's the way it is. Sunday, February 23rd, 2019. For Emergency Management Associates, this is Ron Tyler. Have a great night, folks. God bless you. Good night, everybody.